Hi, I am Subhaprada, Assistant Professor of Mechatronics Department in MAM School of Engineering. Today we are going to see about Unit 2 Electrical Machines. DC generator. An electrical generator is a rotating machine which converts mechanical energy into electrical energy. This energy conversion is based on the principle of electromagnetic induction. Whenever a conductor is moved in a magnetic field, it induced EMF is produced in the conductor. If a single conductor is used, then EMF produced is also small. The large number of conductors are used to obtain greater EMF, and the rotating conductor assembly is called an armature. Let me see the constructions of the DC generator. The parts of the DC generator are as follows. Stator, rotor or armature core, armature windings, yoke, poles, pole shoe, commutator, brushes. The magnetic frame is a yoke serves two purposes. It acts as a protecting cover for the whole machine and it provides mechanical support for the poles. It carries the magnetic flux produced by the poles and the flux per pole divides the yoke. So the yoke carries only half the flux produced by each pole. Next one is poles. The poles consist of pole cores, pole shoes and pole coils. The pole cores and pole shoes form the field magnet. The end of the pole core towards the armature, it is expanded in the form of shoe to reduce the reluctance of the air gap. The cross section becomes longer at the bottom. So the pole coils are made up of copper wire or strip. When the current is passed through these coils, the pole becomes an electromagnet and it starts establishing the magnetic field in the machine. Interpoles are the DC machines commutating the poles or interpoles, and it is provided to improve the commutation. Armature. The armature consists of an armature core and armature windings. The armature houses the armature conductors or coils. The armature along with the conductors, it rotates under the poles and the flux produced by the field magnet is cut by the armature conductors. This causes the high hysteresis loss in the armature core. The commutator converts the alternating EMF into unidirectional or directional EMF. It is made up of wedge-shaped segments or hard-drawn or drop-forged copper insulated from each other by a thin layer of built-up mica. Then brushes and bearings. The brushes which are made up of carbon or graphite and it will collect the current from the commutator to convey it to the external load resistance. They are rectangular in shape. These brushes are housed in brush holders and mounted over brush holder studs. Ball bearings are usually employed as they are saleable for light machines. The bearings are packed in hard oil for quicker operations. DC generator EMF equations. The EMF equation of the DC generators is according to the Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. That is, Eg is equal to P phi Zn by 60A, where phi is the flux or pole within the Weber and Z is the total number of armature conductors. Here P is the number of poles in the generator and A is the number of parallel lanes within the armature. N is the rotation of armature. E is the induced EMF in any parallel lane within the armature. Here Eg is the generated EMF in one of the parallel lanes. That is N by 60 is the number of turns per second. The time for one turn will be dt is equal to 60 by n seconds. Types of DC generator. There are several types of DC generators. In DC generators, there are two types. They are separately excited and self-excited. In self-excited, There are three types: series generator, shunt generator and compound generator. First, separately excited DC generator. If the field winding is excited by a separate DC supply, then the generator is called as separately excited DC generator. Self-excited DC generator. If in a DC generator field winding is supplied from the armature of generator itself, then it is called as self-excited generator. When the armature is rotated, a small EMF is produced in the armature winding because of residual flux. This EMF produces a small field current in the field winding, which increases the flux per pole. There are three types of self-excited DC generators. They are series generator, shunt generator and compound generator. Series generator. In DC series generator, the field winding is connected in series with the armature. The armature current flows in the field winding as well as the load. The DC series generator connection is very thick and it will give the terminal voltage output. Shunt generator. In a DC shunt generator, field winding and load is connected across the armature. The shunt field winding has more number of turns made of thin wire. It has high resistance. Therefore, small amount of current is flows through the field winding and a large amount of current is flow through the armature. Next one is compound generator. The compound generator consists of both shunt field and series field windings. One winding is in series and other winding is in parallel with the armature. Depending upon the shunt field and series field connections, the compound generators can be classified as long shunt compound generator as well as short shunt compound generators. In long shunt compound generator, the generator shunt field winding is connected across both the series field and the armature windings. That is, in short shunt compound generator, the shunt field winding is connected in parallel with the armature and this combination is connected in series with the field windings. DC motor. The DC motor converts the electrical energy into mechanical energy. The input to the DC motor is electrical and the output is mechanical rotation or torque. The fundamental principle and the construction of the DC motors are identical with DC generators which have the same type of excitation. So the principle of the DC operation is motor is that whenever a current carrying conductor is placed in the magnetic field, it experiences a force tending to move it. If the current carrying conductor is placed between the two magnetic poles, both the poles will be distorted. So the magnetic torque causes a rotation to spin counterclockwise. So therefore the conductor tends to move upwards. The force extends upwards depends upon the intensity of the main field, flux and the magnitude of the current. Then the direction of the current through the conductor is reversed. It is a device which converts the electrical to mechanical energy. DC motor equation. The magnitude of the flux experienced is F is equal to BLI, where B is the flux density due to flux produced by windings. L active length of the conductor, I current passing through the conductor. As the conductor rotates, an EMF is induced which acts in a direction and it is opposite to the supplied voltage. So it is given as EB is equal to 5 PNZ by 60A, where phi is the flux due to the field windings, P is the number of poles, A is the constant, N is speed of the motor, Z is number of conductors and the supply voltage is V is equal to EB plus IARA. So the torque developed is TA is equal to 0.159 phi IA PZ by A. Types of DC motors. There are three types of DC motors. They are DC shunt motor, DC series motor and DC compound motor. Okay, so first we see about the DC shunt motor. In DC shunt motor field winding is connected in parallel with the armature. The current through the shunt field winding is not the same as the armature current. So the shunt field windings are designed to produce the MMF by means of the relative large number of turns of wire having the high resistance. Next one is DC series motor. In DC series motor, field winding is connected in series with the armature. Therefore, series field winding carries the armature current. The current is passing through the series field winding is same as the armature current. So, the series field winding must be designed with much fewer turns than the shunt field windings for the same MMF. Next is DC compound motor. The DC compound motor has two field windings, one connected in parallel with the armature and the other in series with it. The compound machines are always designed so that the flux produced by the shunt field winding is considerably larger than the flux produced by the series field windings. There are two types of compound motor connections. They are long shunt compound motors and short shunt compound motors. Long shunt compound motors. When the shunt winding is so connected that it shunts the series combination of armature and series field, it is called as long shunt connection. Short shunt compound motor. When the shunt field winding is directly connected across the armature terminals, it is called short shunt connection. Speed control of a DC motor. The principal advantage of the DC motor is that its speed can be changed over a wide range by a variety of simple methods. In fact, fine speed control is one of the reasons for the strong competitive positions of DC motors in the modern industrial applications. The speed equation of the DC motor can be written as EV is equal to P phi NZ by 60A, where P is the number of poles, phi is the flux per pole, N is the speed in RPM, Z is the number of armature conductors, A is the parallel path. EB can also be given as EB is equal to V minus IARA. Thus, the above equations can be written as N is equal to EB into 60A by P phi Z. But for the DC motor, A, P and Z are the constants. Therefore, N is directly proportional to K EB by phi, where K is constant. Types of speed control motors. There are three different types of speed control motors. They are flux control method, armature control method, voltage control method. First we see about the flux control method. Speed is inversely proportional to the flux. So by varying the flux we can change the speed of the motor. In this method a variable resistance is placed in a series with the shunt field winding. So the field rheostat reduces the shunt field current, so the flux also gets reduced. Therefore, the speed can be raised above normal speed. Armature control and rheostatic control method. In armature control method, the back EMF and the speed of the motor can be changed by varying the voltage across the armature V. A variable resistance is placed in the series with the armature. So, the RC is introduced, voltage drop is increased and hence the back EMF decreases. So, N is directly proportional to EB. Therefore, the speed decreases. Next one is voltage control method. So, in this voltage control method, the voltage source supplying the field current is different from that which supplies the armature. So, this method is used for large size motors and it is very expensive. So, in this type, there are two types, One is multiple voltage control and another one is Ward-Leonard system. Multiple voltage control. In this method, the shunt field of motor is connected permanently across the fixed voltage source. So the armature can be connected across several different voltages through a suitable switch gear. So voltages applied across the armature can be changed. Intermediate speeds can be obtained by means of the shunt field regulator. Next one is Ward-Leonard system. It is an adjustable voltage and it is obtained from the Ward-Leonard system. The armature of the shunt motor is connected directly to the DC generator by the constant speed AC motor. So the field of the shunt motor is supplied from a constant voltage exciter E. So the field of the generator is also supplied from the exciter. The voltage of the generator can be varied by means of its field regulator. Sometimes the field regulator is induced in the field circuit of shunt motor for additional speed adjustment. This method, the motor may be operated at any speed up to its maximum speed. Stepper motor. A stepper motor is an electromechanical device and it will convert the electrical pulses into discrete mechanical movements. The shaft or spindle of the stepper motor rotates in the discrete step, and when the electrical command pulses are applied to it, the proper sequence. The motor's rotation has several direct relationship to the applied input pulses. So the shaft of the motor rotates through fixed angle for each discrete pulse. This rotation can be linear or angular. So step angle is defined as angle through which the stepper motor shaft rotates each command pulse. And resolution means it is defined as number of steps needed to complete one revolution of the rotor shaft. Advantages of the stepper motors are: it is simple in construction and reliable. The motors are less costly and it requires a little maintenance. The main disadvantage of this stepper motor is lower efficiency. The motor uses more current as compared to the DC motor. The resonance condition arises and it requires micro stepping. Types of stepper motor. There are three types of stepper motors. They are variable reluctance stepper motor, permanent magnet stepper motor and hybrid stepper motor. First one is permanent magnet stepper motor. The permanent magnet stepper motor is has a stator construction which is similar to that of the single stack variable reluctance motor. The rotor consists of permanent magnet poles of high retentivity steel and is cylindrical in shape. The connecting windings on diametrically opposite poles are connected in series and it will form a two-phase windings on the stator. The rotor poles aligns with the stator teeth depending on the excitation of the windings. The two coils are connected in series to form the winding of phase A. Similarly, the two coil is connected in series forming the phase B windings. So, the figure shows a 4x2 pole permanent magnet stepper motor. Next, we are going to see about the variable reluctance stepper motor. The variable reluctance stepper motor consists of stator and rotor. The stator windings are wound on the stator poles. The rotor carries no windings. So, the rotor poles are of ferromagnetic material and the rotor is salient pole type. This stepper motor is called a variable reluctance motor because the reluctance of the magnetic circuit formed by the rotor and stator teeth varies with the angular positions of the rotor. Next, we are going to see about the hybrid stepper motor. The word hybrid means combination or mixture. The hybrid stepper motor is a combination of features of the variable reluctance stepper motor and permanent stepper motor. In the center of the rotor, an axial permanent magnet is provided. It is magnetized to produce a pair of poles as north and south. At both the end of the axial magnet, the end caps are provided, which contains an equal number of teeth which are magnetized by the magnet. The stator has 8 poles, each of which has one coil and S number of teeth. There are 40 poles of the stator and each end cap has 50 teeth. Brushless DC motor. A brushless DC motor consists of rotor in a form of permanent magnet and stator in the form of polyphase armature windings. It differs from the conventional DC motor in that it doesn't contain brushes and the commutation is done using using an electronic drive to feed the stator windings. The working principle of the brushless DC motor is there are permanent magnets on the outside and the spinning armature which contains an electromagnet is inside. These electromagnets create a magnetic field in the armature when the power is switched on and help to rotate the armature. The brushes changes the polarity of the pole to keep the rotation on armature. So the BLDC motor can be constructed in two ways. That is, the rotor magnets acts as an insulator and reduce the rate of heat dissipation from the motor and operate at low current speed. So the brushless DC motor has two parts, rotor and stator. The rotor is rotating part and stator is a stationary part and contains the stator windings. So the controller performs the power distribution by using the solid state circuit. Types of brushless DC motors. Basically, BLDC are of two types. They are inner rotor design and outer rotor design. Inner rotor design. In an inner rotor design, the rotor is located in the center of the motor and the stator winding surrounds the rotor. So the rotor is located in the core. Rotor magnets does not insulate heat inside and the heat gets dissipated easily. So inner rotor design motor produces large amount of torque and it is validly used. Next, outer rotor design. In outer rotor design, the rotor surrounds the windings which is located in the core of the motor. So the magnet in the rotor traps the heat of the motor inside and does not allow the dissipate from the motor. Such type of designed motor operates at lower rated current and has low clogging torque. Next, transformer. It is a device that works on the principle of electromagnetic induction. A transformer is an electrical device having no moving parts which may be mutual induction transfers electric energy from one circuit to another at the same frequency. The transformer is an alternating voltage is connected across one of the windings called primary windings. In both the windings, EMF is induced by electromagnetic induction. So the secondary winding is called as secondary windings. The working principle of the transformer is when the primary winding is connected to an AC source, an exciting current flow through the windings. So the current is alternating. It will produce an alternating flux in the core which will be linked by both the primary and secondary windings. So the induced EMF is primary winding and is almost equal to applied voltage and will oppose the applied voltage. Thus the power is transferred from a primary to the secondary circuit by electromagnetic induction. The flux in the core will alternate the same frequency as the frequency of the supply voltage. So the magnitude of the EMF induced in the secondary windings will depend upon his number of turns. So when the number of turns in the secondary winding is less than that in the primary winding, it is called a step down transformer. When the number of turns in the secondary winding is more than the primary windings, it is called as step up transformer. Ideal transformer. An ideal transformer is an imaginary transformer which does not have loss in it. So it means no core losses, no copper losses, and any other losses in the transformer. The efficiency of this transformer is considered as 100%. The ideal transformer model is developed by considering a transformer which does not have any loss. That means the winding of the transformers are purely inductive and the core of the transformer is loss free. So there is no zero leakage in the reactance of the transformer. So some flux which does not pass through the core but passes through the insulation used in the transformer. So for developing the counter EMF across the primary windings, it draws the currents from a source to produce the required magnetizing flux. As the primary winding is purely inductive, then the current is 90 degree lags from the supply voltage. This current is called as a magnetizing current of the transformer. In every winding, it must have some inherent resistance and in it which causes a voltage drop and a I squared R loss in it. Single phase transformer. The single phase transformer works on the principle of Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. The mutual induction between the primary and secondary winding is responsible for the transformer operation in an electrical transformer. So the primary winding of the transformer receives power while the secondary winding delivers the power. Let me see the working principle of single phase transformer. A transformer is a static device that transfers the electric power in one circuit to the another circuit of the same frequency. It consists of primary and secondary windings. The transformer operates on the principle of mutual inductance. So, when the primary of the transformer is connected to an AC supply, the current will flow in the coil and the magnetic field builds up. So, this condition is known as the mutual inductance and the flow of the current is as per the Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. So, the Faraday's law is used to determine the voltage induced across the secondary coil and it is given by N into d phi by dt, where N is the number of coil turns and the frequency is the same in the primary and the secondary windings. So the magnetic flux and the currents are directly proportional to each other. Construction of single phase transformer. A simple single phase transformer has each winding being wound cylindrically on a soft iron limb separately to provide the necessary magnetic circuit, which is commonly referred to as transformer core. It offers a path for the flow of magnetic field to induce voltage between the two windings. So, based on the windings are wound around the central steel laminated core, the transformer consists of two types. One is core type transformer and another one is shell type transformer. Core type transformer. In this type of construction, only half of the windings are wound cylindrically around each leg of the transformer to enhance the magnetic coupling. This type of construction ensures magnetic lines of force flow across both the windings simultaneously. So the main disadvantage of the core type transformer is leakage flux, that it occurs due to the flow of small proportion of magnetic lines of force outside the core. Next one is shell type transformer. In this type of transformer, the primary and secondary windings are positioned cylindrically on the center limb, resulting in twice the cross-sectional area than the outer limbs. These are two closed magnetic paths in this type of construction and the outer limb has magnetic flux 5/2 flowing. So the shell type transformer overcomes the leakage flux and it reduces the core losses and increases the efficiency. All-day efficiency of the calculation of transformer. The ordinary or commercial efficiency of the transformer is defined as ratio of the output power to the input power. So all day efficiency means the power consumed by the transformer throughout the day. Okay, that is the output power and the input power of the transformer over 24 hours. That is, it can be represented by all day efficiency. Eta all day is equal to output in kilowatt per hour divided by input in kilowatt per hour for 24 hours. So the ordinary or commercial efficiency of the transformer is output power by input power, or else output power by output power plus losses. So for instance, the distribution transformers used for supplying the lighting loads have their primaries energized all 24 hours in a day, but the secondary supplies little or no load during the major portion of the day. So it means that constant loss occurs during the whole day, but copper loss occurs only when the transformer is loaded and would depend upon the magnitude of the load. So the performance of such transformer is judged on the basis of energy consumption during the whole day. This is known as all day or energy efficiency. Thank you.